The 7 Most Important Paintings by Édouard Manet.
Number 7. The Railway, 1873. The painting, The Railway, created by Édouard Manet in 1873, is a reflection of the impact of industrialization on 19th-century urban life. The painting depicts a young woman sitting next to a little girl in an environment marked by the smoke and structures of a railway in Paris. This contrast between the human and the industrial highlights Manet's ability to capture the duality of modernity. The composition is simple but deeply symbolic. The young woman, holding a book, seems oblivious to the bustle of the train, while the little girl gazes curiously at the industrial landscape. This dichotomy reflects the conflict between tradition and progress that defined the second half of the 19th century. Manet uses a soft color palette and balanced lighting to create a melancholic atmosphere that invites reflection. This work represents a significant shift in Manet's career, as it shows his transition to a more introspective and emotional style. The Railway was initially criticized for its lack of clear narrative, but has since been recognized as a milestone in the artistic representation of contemporary life. Interestingly, this painting combines the intimate and the monumental, offering a unique insight into the social and technological changes of its time. Number 6. The Balcony, from 1868 to 1869. Between 1868 and 1869, Édouard Manet created The Balcony, a work notable for its unique composition and innovative approach. Inspired by Francisco de Goya's The Majas on the Balcony, this painting depicts 3 figures on a balcony, framed by a wrought iron railing. The Spanish influence is evident, but Manet manages to reinterpret the subject with a fresh, modern approach. The figures, including Berthe Morisot, appear to be lost in thought, creating an atmosphere of mystery and ambiguity. The choice of colors, vibrant greens, crisp whites and deep blacks, creates a visual contrast that highlights the figures' shapes and details. The composition, with its geometric lines and use of negative space, demonstrates Manet's technical mastery. The Balcony was controversial due to its apparent simplicity and lack of a clear narrative theme. However, this work marked a turning point in 19th-century art, challenging academic conventions and paving the way for Impressionism. This painting, with its balance between tradition and innovation, is a testament to Manet's artistic vision, who constantly sought to redefine the boundaries of art. Number 5. The Fife, 1866. In 1866 AD, Édouard Manet's The Fife shocked audiences with its simplicity and modernity. Inspired by his admiration for Spanish art, this work depicts a young military musician playing a fife, dressed in a vibrant uniform that contrasts with the nearly empty, uniform background. This minimalist approach allowed Manet to focus all attention on the figure, eliminating any distractions from the surroundings. The painting, executed with precise brushstrokes and flat colors, reflects the influence of Japanese prints, which were gaining popularity in Europe at the time. The absence of shadows and the simplicity of the composition create a sense of timelessness, making the young musician a universal symbol rather than an individual portrait. Although initially rejected by the Paris Salon, the Fifer has become one of Manet's most iconic works, notable for its boldness and modernity. This piece marked a turning point in his career, cementing his reputation as an innovator who challenged the conventions of academic art. A fascinating fact about this work is how Manet, by stripping it of a narrative context, manages to make the viewer concentrate solely on the presence of the musician, highlighting the purity of the figure and the technical skill of the artist. Number 4. The execution of Emperor Maximilian. From 1867 to 1868. Between 1867 and 1868 AD, Édouard Manet tackled one of the most controversial historical themes of his time with his work, The Execution of the Emperor Maximilian. Inspired by newspaper accounts and engravings of the time, Manet documented the tragic end of Emperor Maximilian of Mexico, executed in Querétaro after the failure of his brief reign supported by Napoleon III. The painting depicts the moment of the execution, with Maximilian flanked by two generals. The scene is charged with drama, with an almost cinematic treatment that places the viewer as an eyewitness. Manet uses dark colors and bold brushstrokes to emphasize the tension of the moment, while the precisely detailed uniforms of the French soldiers underline France's political involvement in the event. This work, censored at the time due to its implicit criticism of Napoleon III, is a testament to Manet's engagement with the events of his time. Although it was not publicly exhibited until years after its creation, it has become one of the most studied pieces for its ability to combine documentary realism with a unique emotional charge. A curiosity about this painting is that Manet made several versions of the scene, reflecting his obsession with capturing the intensity of the event and the importance he gave it as a historical subject. Number 3. A bar at the Folies-Bergère. 1882. In the 19th century, during the year 1882 AD, Édouard Manet presented his last great work, A Bar at the Folies-Bergère. This painting, considered one of the peaks of his career, masterfully captures the vibrant and decadent atmosphere of Parisian cabarets, while offering a profound reflection on loneliness and isolation in the midst of the crowd. The work shows a waitress behind a counter, her gaze lost, while behind her the hustle and bustle of the famous cabaret is reflected. The composition is full of carefully studied details, from the champagne bottles arranged on the counter to the distorted reflection in the mirror, which introduces a unique visual complexity. Manet uses a rich palette of warm and cool tones, creating a balance between the opulence of the surroundings and the melancholy of the central figure. A Bar at the Folies-Bergère represents the culmination of Manet's technique, which combines realism with a deep symbolic charge. The work has been interpreted as a metaphor for alienation in modern society, where the waitress, despite being surrounded by luxury and activity, seems trapped in her inner world. The most intriguing detail is the reflection in the mirror, which seems to defy the laws of traditional perspective. This device, whether deliberate or not, has been the subject of countless debates among critics and art scholars, further increasing the appeal of this enigmatic painting. Number 2. The Luncheon on the Grass. 1863. In 1863 AD, Édouard Manet's The Luncheon on the Grass became another of his most controversial works. This painting, created in the middle of the 19th century, broke artistic molds by presenting a female nude in a contemporary setting, something that at the time was considered almost sacrilegious. Inspired by Renaissance works such as The Country Concert by Giorgione and Titian, Manet reinterpreted the scene from a modern perspective, eliminating any allegorical or mythological references. The composition shows two men dressed in contemporary clothing chatting casually, while a completely naked woman accompanies them. In the background, a second female figure, dressed, bathes in a stream. The contrast between the realism of the female body and the almost surreal landscape, with quick and schematic brushstrokes, gives the work a sense of ambiguity that disconcerted the audience. The green and brown tones of the surroundings deliberately frame the figures, further highlighting their disconnection. This painting was rejected by the official salon and exhibited at the Salon des Rejectés, where it received strong criticism and ridicule. However, its innovation lies in its ability to challenge the norms of academic art, proposing a new dialogue between tradition and modernity. In historical terms, the Luncheon on the Grass marked the beginning of an artistic movement that would later be known as Impressionism, influencing artists such as Monet and Renoir. The curious thing about this work is how Manet, far from seeking controversy, used classical elements to challenge the viewer's perception, forcing him to question what he considered acceptable in art. Number 1. Olympia, 1863. In the context of the 19th century, during the year 1863 AD, Édouard Manet presented to the world his masterpiece, Olympia, a painting that redefined the standards of academic art. In an era where conventions ruled painting, Manet dared to break with the norms, introducing raw realism and shocking modernity. Inspired by the traditions of Renaissance Venuses, this work, however, strips away the characteristic idealism to present a real woman, aware of her power and her direct gaze, something that baffled the public of her time. Technically, Olympia is an oil-on-canvas painting notable for the simplicity of its composition, with a dark background contrasting with the pale skin of the central figure. The model, Victorine Meurent, lies reclining on a bed, covered only by a white cloth and a bouquet of flowers, while a black cat looms at the foot of the bed. Every detail, from Olympia's defiant expression to the inclusion of the maid in the background, underscores Manet's defiance of traditional canons. His use of quick brushstrokes and visible textures adds a sense of immediacy and realism to the work. This painting marked a turning point in Manet's career, establishing him as one of the pioneers of modern art. The scandal it provoked at its exhibition at the Paris Salon only reinforced his reputation as a revolutionary artist. The work not only challenged the conventions of its time, but also profoundly influenced later generations of Impressionist and Modernist artists, becoming an emblem of artistic audacity. As a final detail, it is worth mentioning that Olympia was a direct response to classical works such as Titian's Venus of Urbino. However, while the Renaissance Venus embodies a romantic idealization, Manet presents a figure that takes ownership of her reality, offering a powerful and modern representation of femininity. Thank you for watching our video. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Give it a like, comment your thoughts, and share this video with your friends and family.